This presentation is actually a little bit of active learning going on. So if you have any sort of computing device, it doesn't matter if it's a tablet, a phone, or a laptop, you can go to bit.ly, bit.ly/IL SDL and actually interact with these slides with me. So you can do that from any computing device. It'll work well on anything. And this is something that CS 105 students, the course I teach, do every time they come into class. They get out their technological device, whatever it might be, and they're bringing their own device to the classroom. We provide none of this. And they can go and interact with the course itself. So I'm Wade Fagen. I'm from the Department of Computer Science. And I'll leave this slide up for a few more seconds if you guys have computing devices that want to join me in this thing. And if you compel students to do this, you'll find that students do this all the time. So this really got motivated from last semester. I sat in Lincoln Hall, the main classroom I taught, all day long. Saw 7 different faculty members teach different classes, and there was one thing that was completely ubiquitous through it all, and that was PowerPoint. So this year we're celebrating a 25th birthday, and it's PowerPoint's 25th birthday. So I thought, what can we do to move beyond PowerPoint? And that's kind of the talk of my presentation goes into my broader research interests of simply how do we exploit and how do we leverage the devices that students are already bringing to class so that in class they're not viewing Facebook, they're not viewing Twitter, but they're actually interacting with the class. So this slide set that you're seeing right now, possibly on your mobile devices as well, is made with a technology called reveal.js. So it's just JavaScript and HTML5, but the big thing about it is it's just a library, and it allows you to just take raw HTML or Markdown, whatever syntax you're familiar with, so no fancy programming, just plain text, just HTML, just Markdown, stuff that many of you guys have already used, and convert it into pretty beautiful slides. And these slides look like PowerPoint. I can do transitions, I can do colors, I can do all that kind of stuff. So you're not losing anything. This isn't Prezi, on the other hand. It's not here to wow you with all of the different kind of zoom in, zoom out, turn around in a circle, do a barrel roll. Instead, it's just a simple slide presentation technology. It looks like PowerPoint. If I didn't tell you I wasn't using PowerPoint right now, you might think I was using PowerPoint. The idea of this platform is it's mobile first. So if you have a phone, this is what the title slide looks like on your phone. It looks great. It looks like a slide. You didn't have to have any app. It runs right in your web browser, and you don't have to open it up in another program. It's not a PDF. It's not a PowerPoint. You don't have to go into an app. You don't have to download anything. If you have a web browser, you go to an address. It just works. But the real value, and the value that my research is interested in, is how do we use it in a dynamic nature, and how do we do analytics on top of that? So one of the things you can certainly do is use anything on the web. Embedded YouTube video, easy. It's just HTML. But what's more interesting is employing active learning techniques. So one thing that I'm able to do is use what I'm calling a blocking slide. So this is the idea that I have a problem that I want students to approach. So for example, this problem is a very basic array in JavaScript. So if you're familiar with kind of computer programming, this is just a list of things. In fact, it's a list of even positive numbers. And we asked, what is A of 1? A of 1 in computer science, we like starting to count from 0. So we go 0, 1. So the second thing in this list is a 4, and I can answer 4, and then I can check my answer. And here on the slide, without even leaving anything, I'm able to interact with it. And if the wireless was better and I could compel you guys to all actually view slides, I can actually make it so until 10 of you guys complete this, we don't move forward. So now there's peer pressure for you to kind of get on your cell phone and actually complete this. And a student of 18 or 19-year-olds, when this person next to him is viewing Facebook, there's a little bit of pressure. Because if I get done with my slide set, they're out at 35. So there's a lot of social pressure you can do to actually employ this. So the last kind of point, Trackable. Because they're just websites, you can employ any big tracking tool. So this is Google Analytics that we're running on CS 105's website, so that I can actually see exactly what's going on. Lecture, Monday, 9 a.m. Boom, spike. As we go throughout the day, probably students have classes. As it gets towards the evening, some are going back on it. Tuesday, a little bit of activity. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, you're seeing it trickle off by times that people are kind of Your other thing, Saturday low activity, Sunday you see that activity pick up again. See this weekly cycle. I can ask really interesting questions about this as well. So I can track individual slides. Let's look at slide set 4. This slide set, when it was presented, quite a bit of value. There was an assignment that used concepts from slide set 4. You saw as the concepts were being used, the slides were accessed quite a bit. And it sort of died off once the assignment was due, but you're seeing it's picking up as we get closer to the exam. So this is just stuff I can see. None of these graphs I developed, just Google Analytics, but I can start gathering really deep kind of knowledge about how my slides are being used and start applying those for both research on what interventions I do and how they can affect the classroom, and start asking more interesting questions about the data themselves, as I've collected something like 300,000 different slide views now in just about 5 weeks. So I'm kind of excited about how can we leverage the devices that students are already bringing and expand the learning experience both on the student learning side as well as on the research and kind of analytical and pedagogical side. So this is my information, and thank you guys very much.